Hello everyone, welcome to Bharat Kranti channel. In this video, we are going to see how to read today's newspaper like a topper by linking it to syllabus, understanding how to read relevant articles, what to read in relevant articles, how to read from prelims perspective, how to read from mains perspective, using live demonstration of today's newspapers. We will try to do this under 30 minutes and we will tell you how to integrate these current affairs into your notes. Any topper, whether UPSC or state PSC, cannot clear the exam without making notes. So notes making should be your ultimate goal and we will help you in doing that. And this video is useful for UPSC aspirants and all state PSC aspirants. However, this video we will explain using UPSC syllabus. You can easily use this as a base to link to your state PSC syllabus also. Okay, so let us start without wasting any further time. So this is the first page of the Hindu I am seeing and I am taking here Delhi edition. Okay, Delhi edition for this video. So the first thing I am seeing is this government ad here, VBG Ramji. No one said only news articles are relevant. Here you are seeing a government promoting its own scheme. Why does government promotes its own scheme? Okay, because it was recently enacted and it wants maximum publicity for this. Now previously there was an act called MG Narega, a scheme called MG Narega. So this MG Narega is a rural development employment program. It is very famous. Now recently this was replaced by government with VBG Ramji scheme through VBG Ramji Act. So the government is promoting its own scheme. Anything given special interest by government becomes very important for UPSC preparation. Okay. So we will see this VBG Ramji. I will only link this to the syllabus. I will not be explaining to you the whole content. I am only telling you here what to read and how to read. This you have to read and how you can read this. For prelims perspective, you should read about what is VBG Ramji, what are its provisions, the basic objectives and basic facts, etc. Okay, and for mains perspective, this is how you do it. You should link it to the syllabus. So in GS2 we have a syllabus keywords. These are directly taken from the syllabus. I am linking every news article to syllabus. So it can be linked to multiple papers, any news article. Sometimes it can be linked to only 1 or 2 or 3 or all GS papers. Many things can be used in essay. I want to clarify one thing. Anything that comes in newspaper can be asked in prelims under current affairs. Okay. Current developments is a direct prelims topic. So anything that coming in newspaper can definitely asked in prelims. Okay. Mains notes making is your own effort. So how is this VBG Ramji is linked to mains? So in GS paper 2, governance and social justice, we have this syllabus line, government policies and interventions for development in various sector. What is the sector here? Here the sector is rural development. This is government intervention in rural development. Okay. Welfare schemes for vulnerable sections. Who are the vulnerable section here? To whom this is a welfare scheme? Rural population who are disadvantaged compared to the urban population are the vulnerable section here. And this is a welfare scheme for those people. Okay. It is also a poverty elevation scheme because it is giving employment to all the population in the rural areas. Okay. And you can also link this to the inclusive growth in GS paper 3. Okay, employment generation. These are mentioned directly in the syllabus. Okay, employment and inclusive growth. So that is how you will read it. Moving to the next article. Next article is a political one, but I will help you decode it. So this is the basic summary of the news. You don't have to read this news. Many news articles are not important based on the content in that. You don't have to read the article, but the issue behind that becomes important. So this is an article here. Then there is an editorial on this topic. We will discuss mains aspect in that editorial. And here I am discussing prelims aspect. So here the news is that ED, Enforcement Directorate, is investigating an office of IPAC, a political consultant firm called IPAC. And this IPAC is the consultant agency for Trinamool Congress in West Bengal for its previous election. Now when ED is raiding this office of this IPAC, Trinamool Congress is alleging that this is an intentional act by central government to steal the strategies of Trinamool Congress. Okay, this is a political misuse as per the TMC. So this is the allegation, but we will not be going into the news. No one knows what is the truth. This is politics. But here, because ED is in news, you should know basics about ED. It can be asked in prelims. Okay, that's it. Nothing more than that. Moving on, I will ignore all the irrelevant articles. I will specifically highlight all the relevant articles. So I am seeing here an article, Iran defies Trump, warns protesters of crackdown. So here is a article which is relevant. So here Donald Trump, president of USA, is warning Iran. There are some protests happening in Iran. So any country which is in news, first thing you should do is see its map, see its neighbors, see its basic physical features. Okay, so this is the basic work you should do. Any country is in news, first you will see its basic geographical features. Okay, it can be asked in prelims. Now when it comes to mains, this topic can be related to as like after World War II, what is the brief history of Iran? See the history of Iran, but not from ancient times, since Persian civilization, Indus Valley civilization. Don't do that. Start from World War II very briefly, not too detailed. Give max of 5 minutes just to understand the present issue, because present issue is rooted in the history and there is a possibility it can be linked to world history. Very difficult to ask single question from this, but just to widen your knowledge base, to use this in essay especially or optional, just to give a 5 minutes to understand. Because till 1979 US and Iran are very close friends, very best friends. But in 1979 there was an Islamic revolution in Iran. Since that moment Iran and US have become absolute enemies. And the whole world is afraid whether Iran will develop nuclear weapons. So nuclear program of Iran will be in news constantly. So all of these are related to the history of Iran. Then coming to international relations, of course this can be easily linked to international relations. So policies and politics of any country which is affecting India's interest can be linked here, because now if Iran is under protest, if Iran is going under instability, all of this region will be in news constantly. We will see 2 to 3 articles on this region only. And if this region goes into instability, it will affect the energy security of India. So it impacts our interest, because we are importing so much oil from this region, from this West Asia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, UAE, etc. Okay, so this region is very important for our energy interests, etc. And many of our Indians are living in this West Asia. So for our diaspora also this is very important. Okay, many of our people are living here. Okay, Indian diaspora also can be linked to this all West Asia news articles. Okay, any bilateral, regional, global groupings and agreements which are impacting India's interest also related to our syllabus. So you should read this news article from that perspective and add to your notes in these segments. Okay, why I am telling you this syllabus, so that you can add this topic, this example in your notes at these particular sections. Moving on to the next one, no need to read the article, a small relevant one. So here in this article there is a mention about a Waves platform of Prasar Bharati. Okay, so we have Prasar Bharati. If you don't know, for prelims perspective, read what is Prasar Bharati. And it has recently started a OTT platform. It is a OTT platform. We know OTT platforms, Netflix, Prime, etc. Here is a government's OTT platform called Waves. Okay, so what is Waves? It's a OTT platform of the government. Okay, of Prasar Bharati to be specifically. So moving on to next page. I am not seeing any relevant articles here. Moving on, not seeing any relevant article. So here in page 4, there is a news article on Polavaram project. No need to read this article. I will tell you the brief. So Polavaram is a project in Andhra Pradesh. It is on Godavari river. But the project, the backwaters of the project is impacting Chhattisgarh and Odisha also. You can say this is broadly a interwater state dispute. Interwater state disputes come under Article 262 of the Constitution. Okay. So because this Polavaram project not only controls Godavari, some of its tributaries which are coming from Chhattisgarh and Odisha also impacted by this project. So Polavaram project impacts other states than Andhra Pradesh. So there is some minor disputes going on, not a very big issue. So no need of mains perspective. Just understand what is Polavaram project. Okay, just read the basics of Polavaram project, where it is and on which river it is constructing, the basic features of it. Okay. Okay, now we have come to editorial page. So see this first editorial on the left. Here it is talking about the same issue we are talking. This IPAC, which has conducting, which was raided by this ED. Okay, ED has conducted raids on this IPAC. Okay, now this is creating a political storm in West Bengal. But here our focus is that this editorial talking about patterns. Now during 2024 general elections, Income Tax Department has frozen the bank accounts of Congress. So they have mentioned some reason. Congress, a national party, the principal opposition party, their bank accounts were frozen in the middle of election process. So at a crucial moment, they were troubled through lack of access to funds. Then the same article is saying, now Election Commission of India is conducting something called Special Intensive Revision, SIR, which is raising many doubts of voter deletions. So lakhs and lakhs of voters are being deleted. There are some political allegations that vote banks of opposition parties are intentionally targeted. Some people who are deserved to be in the voters list, their names also being removed. This is an allegation I'm saying. Now again you will see ED attacking IPAC, which is having the data of Trinamool Congress. So this article says, at the central level, central government which is in power, which the party in power is targeting the opposition party, and at state level, if there is any party opposition is in power, it is targeting that state also. So here we are seeing an issue in central state relations. Okay, the issues related to federal structure is directly given in the syllabus. Issues and challenges pertaining to federal structure directly given in the GS2 polity. It is a very important syllabus line. Many questions will come from every year. Mostly questions will come from this section. It is very, very important. We are one of the favorite areas of UPSC. Okay, so this issue touches at central state relations, fairness of electoral process, because now this SIR of voter list is being questioned. Okay, integrity of state institutions, ED, ECI, income tax, etc. are being questioned. So and all these bodies, ED, Election Commission of India, Income Tax Department. So appointments to all these bodies mostly made by central government. They have very much power. The Council of Ministers, central government are having strong powers in appointment in these bodies. So these bodies also in focus. Okay, this is how you should read from prelims and mains perspective. Okay, when it comes to exclusively mains in GS4, it can be asked in ethics also, because there should be some moral values in governance. Okay, there should be neutrality, non-partisanship in working of these bodies. Okay, and there should be accountability against any misuse of any political entity or any central institutions. Okay, so this is touching both GS paper 2 and GS paper 4. Okay, moving on to next article. So this is an editorial which is not directly linked to prelims or mains. Okay, not very relevant, but the content here, the message given here is very important, can be used in essay, I would say, ethics as example, or if you are optional of sociology or anthropology, etc., you can use this. Okay, this is the main theme of this particular news article. So there will be victims of rape or sexual harassments, etc. Women are, this topic touches the gender discrimination aspect. So there are victims who are women who are victims of rape and sexual harassment, etc. Instead of coming to the support of these victims, these primary victims who have already faced the crime, society does this character assassination of these victims. They question the past behavior, past sexual activities of these victims. They say that this victim has encouraged the perpetrator, the aggressor, the criminal. So the focus will be shifted from the crime or the criminal to the character or behavior of the victim, the dressing sense of the victim. Okay, you see these kind of comments made everywhere. So the society, the culture does the secondary victimization, and this is wrong. This is very problematic. That is the core of the article. So that is how you can link this. Okay, next editorial is about de-dollarization. So here they are talking about something called de-dollarization. Okay, what is de-dollarization? So this article is highlighting that. So Trump is doing various kind of crazy activities. He is putting sanctions on all the companies buying Russian oil. So people think US is doing this to prevent a Russia-Ukraine war. Russia is using this money by selling oil and using this money to fund this Ukraine war. This is the argument given by USA. Then US has attacked Venezuela and kidnapped its president, okay, Nicolas Maduro. So if you ask US is say, I have done this because this Nicolas Maduro, the president of Venezuela, is resorting to narco terrorism. He is having links with the drug cartels and is pushing drugs into US, harming US youth. Okay, so narco terrorism. These are the reasons US is giving. But this article says behind these reasons there are some more important reasons, like throughout the world the international currency is more or less is US dollar. Okay, we use dollar for everything, especially for buying oil across. So they are called the dollars utilized for buying oil is called petrodollars. So the US dollar dominates, and because US dollar dominates, US has so much influence across the world. But now many countries like Venezuela, Russia, China, these countries, even India is also thinking as a part of BRICS to introduce alternative currencies for transactions among themselves. So Russia and China started transacting in other currencies other than US dollars. They are transacting in their own currencies. So when Russia sells oil, China is paying in yuans, etc. Okay, not in US dollars. So Venezuela also resorting to these kind of things. So to get US influence back, to stop this de-dollarization and to control these thoughts of de-dollarization in minds of various countries, US is doing all of this, putting sanctions on Russian oil, or attacking Venezuela, etc. So that is the core argument of this article. Okay, moving on. So how you can relate it? You can relate to the policies and politics. These politics of USA, okay, and global groupings, etc. Okay, this is how you will link it. Next news article is talking about something called Somaliland. So what is this Somaliland? Somaliland is a region in this East Africa, Horn of Africa. Somaliland currently is a part of this country of Somalia. This is the whole country of Somalia. In this Somalia, this is part of Somaliland. Okay. So the Somaliland is actually independent in 1960. You can go back to the world history aspect because Somaliland was a protectorate of British and this rest of the Somalia was a colony of Italy. Okay. So here you can also see world history aspect. Okay, in world history we have these topics: redrawal of national boundaries. So how this redrawal of national boundaries happened in Africa is very important. Okay, because this is in Africa. And colonization, decolonization is also given in syllabus. So colonization, decolonization of Africa is also relevant here. Okay, so this Somaliland is actually independent in 1960, but they have voluntarily united with the rest of the Somalia. Now it is a single country, but there were some issues and they started demanding independence from 1991. But no country in the world is recognizing this Somaliland. But presently Israel has recently recognized this Somaliland as an independent country. So they have recognized it as an independent state separate from Somalia. So this is receiving different kind of criticism, etc. So why Israel has done it? And how this is creating problems to various countries like China. That is the core theme of this article. You should read it. It is very relevant. Okay, again, bilateral, regional, global groupings and agreements affecting India's interest, and of course policies and politics. You can see here this is a politics of Israel. Okay, geopolitics are happening here and it is troubling China as of now. All of the things happening right now, Venezuela is troubling China. Okay, sanctions on Russia is troubling China. And this recognition of Somaliland is troubling China. Okay, so read between the lines. Okay, link different articles. Moving on. So as I told you, Election Commission of India is conducting something called SIR. So this is talking about that SIR in Bengal, etc. Okay, so how this SIR exercise, this article is on SIR, Special Intensive Revision of Election Commission of India. How it is relevant? It is relevant to RP Act because this power to conduct special intensive revision comes from RPA, Representation of People Act 1950. Okay, so this is directly from GS2 paper. Now Election Commission of India, whatever we have already seen, all of these are very important in this aspect. Okay, integrity of electoral process. This is how you can link to the syllabus. It can be asked in both prelims and mains. Now moving on to next page. So here we have an article of Taliban. This news is not important. You can just skip the news. But see here. Now there is an Afghan embassy in India in New Delhi. So in our capital there will be embassies of different countries with whom we will interact formally. But the problem is Taliban is not an elected government of Afghanistan. They are a militant organization who has taken over the Afghanistan. Now here you have a very conservative Islamic radical militant organization ruling Afghanistan, but they are in power. So India is facing a dilemma. Is it correct to deal with a radical militant organization who were terrorists in the past, So if you speak of idealism, it is unethical to deal with these people because they are violating many human rights. They are oppressing the women's rights. They are not giving education to the women, etc. So if you take ideal stand, India should not deal with Taliban. But the problem is they are the one actually in power. So if you are speaking of pragmatism, practical reality, they are in control. Pakistan is dealing with Taliban. China is dealing with Taliban. Russia is dealing with Taliban, and they are getting advantages. If we do not deal with Taliban, we will have disadvantage. Okay, so the balance between ideal and pragmatism comes under GS paper. Okay, so ethical issues and international relations and funding. So that is why it can be linked to GS4. Of course, Afghanistan is a neighbor country, so anything happen in our neighbor country comes directly under GS paper to international relations. Moving on here I want to say one article. This is not relevant to syllabus, just UPSC. From any UPSC exam now you will attend, you will have this face authentication before the exam. Okay, just a news, not relevant to exam. Okay, next news is, you can see here, 63 Maoists have surrendered in Chhattisgarh. So recently more and more number of Maoists coming forward and surrendering. Some days back a mass Naxalites of around 200 in number have surrendered. So government is doing something. It is suppressing this Naxalism like anything. So Naxalism is a topic in GS3 internal security. We officially call it left-wing extremism. So in GS3 we have internal security. There are different kind of internal security challenges: left-wing extremism, terrorism, money laundering. So we will deal with every internal security challenges in different ways. We will discuss this in GS paper 3. So left-wing extremism is a topic which we will study directly in GS paper 3. Okay. So for every internal security challenge in GS3, this is how you have to make notes. You have to know the definition. Like, you have to know the definition of left-wing extremism. You should know the causes of left-wing extremism. You should know the consequence, the impact of left-wing extremism, and what are the measures government is taking. So government is doing something. That is why this left-wing extremism is coming in control. So you should link this to it. Okay. Moving on. Next page, I am not seeing any. So this is page 10. See here, left side, there is a small article on DRDO testing hypersonic missiles. This news article is not relevant, but I will say here there is a discussion on engines, various type of engines, whether it is a jet or it is an aircraft or it is a missile or it is a rocket. For anything you need engine for it to move forward, and these engines are various types. Based on your engine type, it goes at some speed. Okay, so there are various types of engines like turbojets, ramjets, scramjets, etc. Each having different technology. Based on that you will achieve different speed. So if you don't know this, just go back to the basics and read basic type of engines once, so that you can understand articles like this. Okay. Otherwise there is no news in this article. Just for prelims perspective, I am asking you to read these various types of engines. Okay, moving on. Now this is talking about a national portal. Our Home Minister has initiated a national portal on IEDs, improvised explosive devices. Okay, a portal on IED bomb blast data. Okay, it is a national portal on bomb blast data. Till now there is no integrated. Everywhere many bomb blasts have happened. Recently near Red Fort also a bomb blast happened. So we have this data of different incidents separately. It was not integrated. Something happened in Andhra Pradesh. Its data cannot be utilized in New Delhi. Okay, so now it is integrated through a national database. So what happened in Andhra can be studied in Delhi. What happened in Delhi can be studied by Andhra Police. Okay, so now it is integrated everywhere. So again, it was done. This national portal is done as a measure against the internal security challenge of terrorism. Okay, again it is related to GS3. We should link this to GS paper 3. Okay, so terrorism. As I told you, this is how you should make notes for all GS3 internal security challenges. Okay, so again you can see this as a government measure against terrorism. Okay, moving on. So government has brought something called Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023. Okay, it is brought to respect privacy. We have a fundamental right to privacy under Article 21. So under Article 21, to uphold right to privacy, government has brought this act. but there is already one act called RT Act, Right to Information Act, already brought in 2005. It is upholding our right to information under Article 19. Okay, Article 19. So here you have two fundamental rights, two acts to uphold two fundamental rights. But some people say government has passed this act, DPDP Act, but while passing this act, they have made some amendments to this DPDP Act, and because of amendments to this DPDP Act, some RTI provisions have been diluted. Okay, this act has diluted this act. This is the argument, and some people went to court, and now the hearings are being conducted. So anyway, these developments we will see, but you have to know DPDP Act, RT Act, etc. for basic prelims and mains also. You have to understand how to balance these fundamental rights. Okay, and this is direct syllabus line. Okay, transparency, accountability is very important, and RTI is directly related to it. Okay. Then GS4, this can also be linked to GS4. RTI is directly given in the syllabus in GS4, accountability directly in the syllabus. This is also information sharing and transparency directly given in the syllabus. And there is a need for ethics in public administration. Privacy is an ethic. At the same time, transparency is an ethics. How to balance this is up to the government. Okay, there is a need for balance. This is how you will link to both GS2 and GS4. Okay, very important article, I would say. Next comes an article related to GS3 environment. Okay, so here we are talking about NGT. So in the city of Varanasi, we have this river Ganga, and near this Ganga river bank, they have some people have constructed something called tent city. Okay, for tourism purpose, etc. So this tent city is not according to the environmental norms. So we have Environmental Protection Act 1986. Under this, government gives various rules to protect various kinds of environment like river banks, okay, coastal areas, hills, etc. To protect these, government gives rules, and everyone has to follow these rules. Now NGT is saying, while constructing this tent city, they have not followed these rules. Okay, if you see the syllabus, main syllabus, we have these type of topics called like environmental impact assessment given in the GS3 mains, environment, conservation. So it touches both of these. So you should know basic Environmental Protection Act for both prelims and mains also. And because NGT is in use, you should know what is NGT for prelims also. Okay. So and in this article, Kachwa Wildlife Sanctuary is mentioned as a part of Uttar Pradesh. So this can be asked in prelims. Now in this article, National Mission for Clean Ganga is mentioned. This can be asked in both prelims and mains. Okay, so this is how you link it to syllabus and prelims and mains. Okay, next moving to business page. There are no much articles in here, but I would say how you should read business page. You have to check whether you have proper fundamentals in economy or not. This is how you can do it. You read any article which is related to syllabus. Now I am seeing this ETF, exchange traded funds here. Now I know this is related to syllabus. So anything which is related to syllabus, you should basically understand it. Not even related to syllabus, any article you should be able to understand it. Then your fundamentals in economy is strong. Okay, that is how you can determine. And anyway, unnecessary articles you don't read. Okay, next, how this is related to syllabus. So Indian economy is a part of syllabus for both mains and prelims. Okay. And in this Indian economy, we have a topic called money and banking. Under money and banking, there is financial markets. Under this financial market topics, you will come across various terms like equities, exchange traded funds, etc. So if you know this, you just move on. If you don't know, because this article is talking about equities, ETFs, etc., just read them. Okay, take this opportunity and read them, because next time you don't have to read. Next time you will understand. Okay, this is how you will cover all the gaps in your knowledge. Okay. Moving on, I am not seeing any relevant articles here. Okay, moving on to the world page. So here I am seeing this Yemen. There is an article on Yemen. So Yemen in the same region, here this is the Somaliland we have just discussed. So just on the top of the Yemen, and here is the Iran we have just discussed. So in the same region, now we have this Saudi Arabia, UAE. Near to the Saudi Arabia, UAE, we have this country of Yemen. Okay. So near to this Saudi Arabia and UAE, we have this country of Yemen. In this Yemen, this country is broadly divided into two parts. One is North Yemen, one is South Yemen. Okay, you can see here this division. So this North Yemen is controlled by again two groups. The majority part is controlled by something called Houthis. And these Houthis are proxies of Iran. Now this yellow part, whatever is this yellow part is the official government of Yemen. So see, the official government of Yemen is controlling very less region in its own country. And to prevent this Houthis, Saudi Arabia and UAE joined hands and they have sent some security forces who are having control over whole the southern region. Now they are fighting this Houthis in the northern region. These Houthis also have the control over the capital city of Sana'a. Okay, but the problem is recently the differences between Saudi Arabia and UAE are growing. UAE is supporting a group here called STC. Now the remaining groups are in control of Saudi Arabia. So the issue is becoming more complex. Different countries supporting different groups here. So again, if this region is pushed into instability, it will be having impact on India's energy interests. So the same international relations here, bilateral, regional, global groupings and agreements affecting India's interest and effects of policies and politics of countries on India's interest. Okay, this is how you will link to it. Okay. So again, not very relevant article, but there is a smaller one here. Here this article is talking about someone called Kurdish fighters. So you should know who are Kurds. If you don't know who are Kurds till now, take this opportunity and read who are Kurds for prelims. Okay, and there is a relevant concept in news continuously. So there is something called Kurdistan. It will be frequently in news. This is a region like Somaliland and it is demanding independence. And it is touching the countries of Turkey, Syria, Iraq, Iran, etc. Okay, so Kurdistan is the region where these Kurds are inhabiting. Okay, so these Kurds and Kurdistan always in news, so it is relevant, but these are not mentioned in this given article. Okay, if you don't know who are Kurds and Kurdistan, take this opportunity and read them. Okay, otherwise leave it. Moving on to the sports space, I am not seeing any articles here. So I think we have covered from start till end all the relevant articles in today's newspaper, in 10th January's newspaper. Okay, this is how we are going to do this every day, and we will constantly improve. So this is how you can link all the relevant articles to prelims and mains, to various GS papers, essay, optional, etc. And I am teaching here only based on UPSC syllabus, but you can very easily link this to your state public service examinations. Okay, so thank you. Please like, share and subscribe the video.